How you doing today? Daily Rabbit Hole here. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is the Rabbit Hole Report. I'm your host. It's been a while. Taking like 2 months off to kind of get my mind together, but I've still been watching and pay attention. And let me tell you, things have gotten strange. Things have gotten weird. We've had political assassination. We've had troops moving throughout cities throughout America. We got Netanyahu doing his thing right now. I'm not going to call it complete genocide, but he's one more line crossed away from it. All right. We have the UN General Assembly that just went on. That was a show to watch. I've been covering that quietly, just kind of taking notes on it and whatnot. What I want to talk about today is a host of issues or a host of operations and projects that have taken place over the last 50, 60 years. Now, why I'm bringing up the past is because the past is so relevant right now. Only reason the past is relevant is because we allow it to be relevant. And when I say we as Americans are watching whatever this is transpire in front of us. Now, with the assassination of Charlie Kirk, we've kind of hit a time capsule or a hitch in time where this seems like the civil rights movement, but things seem a little bit more off than it did back then. Now, I wasn't there, sure. I can only imagine what people were going through back then as far as, civil rights, protesting, all the assassinations that happened in that time. Let's not forget we lost both Kennedys, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Hampton, and I think it's Huey P. Newton, if I'm not mistaken, and a couple other civil rights leaders and groups. All right, so none of this stuff is actually new. It's just history repeating itself again. And it's really important to understand where we're going if we can understand the past. How does this all translate into what we're talking about right now? Hear me out, okay? Now, you guys have all heard of different operations like Jade Helm, Rex 84, Operation Blackjack, all right? Pogo, Zephyr. I'm saying names, I'm saying words. Maybe they don't resonate with you, and that's okay. Because at the Daily Rabbit Hole, that's what this is for. The Rabbit Hole Report is here to report the strange and unusual, the questionable, the hard conversations. And it's important to do this in a way that's safe and understanding and cohesive to everyone around us, right? We live in an era of misinformation. Some call it 5G warfare, where it's just warfare of information. Propaganda, disinformation, misinformation, just information in general is running rampant. It's the internet age. Everyone's learning. Some people are learning the wrong things. Some people are just learning in general. Some people are just finding out that half the stuff that I've said out loud is actually true. Some people aren't learning anything, even with all the information. We live in an anti-intellectual age, is what they would call it, but I don't think it's anti-intellectualism or anti-intelligence. What I think the problem is that there's so much information, it's coming out so fast, plus the propaganda that's being put out to us. It's not actually helping anyone. Without real guidance, it's hard to spot the problems. And I feel like it could be my way of doing this for you is simplifying those problems and those operations and projects and explaining them to you in real time. Okay? Does that make sense? Think about it like this. Everyone says TikTok is the freedom platform, right? While I'm kind of biased on that one, I think TikTok did something very innovative by allowing people early to put out different kinds of opinions and information without getting your head chopped off. Now, it's not so much like that anymore. All right. We do know that Oracle has taken over the servers and the American groups are taking over the servers now. China's released the servers. It's going to be alleged American, algorithm, and they're going to push American stuff, which means more propaganda and potential for another psyop, or what we would like to say social engineering, which is already happening on TikTok. I'm one of the few people in this circle who understands that all social media is pretty much the same thing. It's mass surveillance, but it can be used as a tool to connect the masses. That's what it's supposed to be for, to connect the masses, but it's being used against us. Don't ask me why. Just know that apparently there's some type of angry, evil, all powerful group over us. Some call the Illuminati, some call the deep state, some call the shadowy government. Most people just say they or them, they whisper their names. All right. Me personally, I think it's a smorgasbord of families, proxy groups, fraternities, just a whole lot of means of hierarchical charts. All right. They really do insulate themselves inside of each other. That's another conversation. Today's conversation is going to be about Rex 84, Jade Helm 15, and Operation Blackjack out of the Telegraph from the UK. And if you are in this circle, you know what Rex 84 is, you know what Jade Helm is, and you know what Operation Blackjack is. You could. You might not. Lock in, get ready. I hope you're comfortable. It's going to be a really good show. We're going to talk. I'm trying not to talk to you crazy or talk to you like, you don't know anything. I got a habit of that. But it's going to be a good show. Try not to make it 3 hours. Ha, jokes. It's going to be at least an hour and a half. All right. Now, let me get my screen up. There we go. Yeah, yeah. New format, new setup. You guys like it? Cool. All right. Now we're watching all of the National Guard be mobilized in major cities like Chicago, Memphis. Baltimore is next on the list. I'm hearing they're having their spat. The mayor was basically stating that Trump is obsessed with Baltimore. The whole abortion thing and whole couple other issues have been going on. Also, part of the whole DC mobilization too. It's a lot of things transpiring. I want to say in DC, in the Maryland, and the Tri County area, whatever that is. All right. Now, years ago, there was an we could call it a training event called Rex 84. It's a readiness exercise in 1984. Full term readiness exercise 1984 Bravo was a classified scenario and drill developed by the United States federal government to detain large numbers of United States residents deemed to be national security threats in the event that the president declared a national emergency. Okay, pause. Let's stop right there. Okay, now what does that sound like to all of you? This has been one of the conversations that has been leading the last 5 years since 2020 and that last simulation they ran on us. Okay, people's thought process right now is that they think that the federal government is mobilizing against itself. Now, if you are on the right and you are part of the QAnon, whatever, possible psyop, not for me to judge, but these people in this little group have been talking about some type of plan that's been transpiring since the 50s to where there are two factions fighting over the government. Okay. There's been plenty of propaganda and movies put out about this same situation. I'm going to talk about those movies somewhere as we move through this. All right. I got nice little infographic of posters and it's nice. I put a lot of thought into it. So Rex 84 is scenario envisions state defense forces rounding up 500,000 undocumented Central American residents and 4,000 American citizens whom the U.S. Attorney General had designated as national security threats as part of the secret continuity of government program. These people would be detained at 22 military bases in liberation camps run by the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA. Now, this conversation is what we're here for today. Because in today's events, one would think that this is maybe transpiring, and I'm not speculating. This is all for entertainment and educational purposes only. Okay? I just want to get that out there. Now, think about this for a second. We hear so many times that it's the move behind the move that we got to watch for. And it's hard to do it when you don't know what's going on or you don't believe half the stuff that I'm about to say. What makes this so cool in a way is that it's one of the few times we get to see history play out. Because as I read that out to you, it was used to detain illegal immigrants and about 4,000 Americans that were causing, issues, speculating. Basically, what UK is doing right now, arresting their citizens for spreading alleged misinformation or disinformation, conspiracy theories, whatever you want to call it, right? UK is doing the same thing to their content creators, all right? No different than America. Say what you want about Charlie Kirk, but he was a content creator. Was he a very large content creator? Yes, he had a whole movement and influence. Guess what? He's not live, allegedly. I'm not going to get on that conversation, but again, a lot of people say that this is all staged, it's central casting, these are all actors. It's hard for me to tell the difference myself. I'm not going to sit here and act like what I'm preaching to you is the gospel. I just say that it's we should all take the time to pay attention and really listen to some information and discard the rest if it's not needed. All right, this is how misinformation does get spread sometimes, is that a lot of people will take it in and run with it, proven on the internet. A lot of people can't tell the difference between AI. A lot of people aren't breaking down real video. Now, I've broke down plenty of video of plenty of events. What I'm going to say is this before I continue on with my lesson. History has repeated itself with Charlie Kirk. He was no different, like I said earlier. It's very important to understand that whoever did this had some type of range, some understanding. And me personally, I don't think Tyler Robinson did it. I think there's someone else. Story doesn't match up. Kind of reminds me of Luigi Mangione case. Did he do it? They say he did. Something doesn't add up to me though. And that's my take on it. I'm not going to get too deep into that. We're going to kind of focus on the readiness and the exercises and the training. I don't want to deviate from the topic. I'm just going to say that I understand that people say that things are not what they seem when you see them. Could be the truth. You got to pay attention to things. Now, stuff like this, Rex 84, this is a real exercise that was done back in the 80s. All right, I'm going to get into the background and we're going to go over this real quick. All right, hear me out. The existence of master military contingency plans, Operation Garden Plot, Wall Break, the Department of Defense Civil Disturbance Plan, also known by its cryptonym, Garden Plot, was a general U.S. Army and National Guard plan to respond to major domestic civil disturbances within the United States. All right? That's what your quick reaction force is right now. You know that little unit that they created that's in Arizona and Alabama? Yeah, that's the quick reaction force. That's essentially what Garden Plot was. All right? Now, Garden Plot was something that was listed in Counter Spy magazine. We're going to talk about that. And for people who don't know what Counter Spy magazine is, apparently in the 70s, there was a magazine where it's conspiracies. It was Counter Spy. They were putting information out. This was whistleblowing at its finest. And this is in the 70s, okay? Crazy. Hear me out. In a similar exercise, Lanner and Spike were originally revealed by journalist Ron Ridnour. Now, this gentleman could easily be a double agent. He could be a plant. We don't know this guy, but nonetheless, journalism was journalism back then, and people were still trying to report what was going on. All right. He summarized his findings in a 1975 article of Counter Spy magazine. Starting in 1981, the DoD and FEMA began a tradition of biannual joint exercises to test civil mobilization using names Proud Saber and Rex 82. In 1984, the scenario involved a U.S. Army rehearsal of airlifting the entire 82nd Airborne Division, consisting of 15,000 troops, from Fort Bragg in North Carolina under the cover of night and flying them to either El Salvador or Nicaragua as a simulated invasion to enforce a state of martial law. Whew, mouthful. Okay, now I'm going to stop there. All right. I'm not gonna go any further. I'm not gonna go too far into the history of it. I'm gonna double back to it, but I want to skip to something. Now we speed up 30 years later, almost 40, and we have something called Jade Helm. All right. Now they just told you right here again. Wikipedia, take it with a grain of salt, but this is all surface level information. All right. This is what we call surface level. It has this little reference links for you, so you can click, maybe wall break because you don't know what a word stands for. So what you do is you use this cross reference. Now you go find you some literary or scholastic writings about this subject, and then you research. All right, we're going to learn about how to properly research too. All right, so all this stuff that I'm reading, I just use it at surface level because clearly this stuff was already out. A lot of this came out in the church committee hearings, other hearings, Senate committee hearings, that things were transpiring. This is how they kind of absolve themselves in a way. They kind of put the information out, and when it gets out 40 years later, they end up telling you it was true. By the time it comes out, the people who would be mad are too old to be mad, and the people who find out don't even care. That's just how it works. All right, now they were doing joint exercises together, being dropped off and simulating, you know, enforcing martial law and taking over cities or towns or whatever they got to do. Nothing wrong with training. Nothing wrong with that. What I'm saying is that sometimes this stuff starts to come out and look like it might be a problem for us. And that's really the whole thing that I'm talking about today, is that when we look at things that are happening, it could come off as run of the mill normal, right? Trump really could be out here fighting crime, cleaning up cities, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm for that, but I know better. Like, they'll say they're doing one thing and it's another the whole time, right? To be honest, they could be moving into position to protect cities. It could be an uprising on the way. It could be a conflict coming. We could have some type of terror attack we don't know nothing about, which I'm going to get into that conversation soon. Trust me, I'm piecing this together. All right, it's woven together. All right, little webs, spiders everywhere, people. I'm trying to get it together. All right, it's just understand. It looks like nothing for the right. It looks like he's cleaning up the deep state. For the extreme right, he's clearly fighting the red hats or the black hats, and it's white hats against black hats, which they're waiting because there's this mass operation taking place to clean up the government. I'm not gonna lie, there are some things that he has passed that are kind of hinting at something like this might be possible, but I'm not stupid, and I know better. You have to dismantle a system before you implement a new system. All right, we are 2030, Project 25, Agenda 21. All right, all these little terms and numbers coming out, we're already in that process. We have 5 years till 2030. So think about what I'm saying out loud right now, reading all this information. And we've all been saying that this has been happening for years and decades at a time, really the last almost 100. But if we clock since World War II, we're looking at the last 80 years almost, or 80 years on the head for the most part, some type of mass operation going on to take the government. It's like America is the last stand. It's like the continent of America is the last hoorah for the world, and then the world's under the new world order. I know it sounds crazy. Don't judge me. It is what it is. Okay. So they were doing joint exercises together anyway, right? Nothing unfamiliar about that. Now, years later, something called Jade Helm 15 showed up. All right. Now, Jade Helm 15 exploded with conspiracies because this program was different. Now, in the last one in Rex 84, they say they were going to overseas Nicaragua and Central America and all that, right? Venezuela. This time they did it inside of America in broad daylight, and it caused a firestorm of conspiracies and fear. in a way that, because some people still remember what happened. So when they see this stuff, it throws off a red flag for them. So Jade Helm was based on Jade Helm 15 United States military training exercise, which took place in multiple U.S. states from July 15th to September 15th, 2015. All right. The exercise, which involved 1,200 personnel from 4 or 5 branches of the U.S. military, was designed to train soldiers in skills needed to operate in overseas combat environments, including maneuvering through civilian populations. You see the flip there? So Rex 84 was preparing them. They went to a foreign country to prepare for America uh, civil unrest and destabilized environments, right? Now this time they do it in America just in case it happens overseas. You see the flip flop there? That's the flip flop of narrative, all right? What we're actually looking at right now is the same exact training. This time, they got leeway to do it in America. Now, 2015 is not 1984. Policy is completely changed. Rules and regs and what you can now do in America is completely changed, all right? Big jump, all right? Now, pause right here. In 2015, it was stated that they had went to different locations. Here we go right here. So they did like a mock simulation. This mock simulation was basically if there was an insurgency in the country or some type of invasion, right? Now, the invasion that most people are probably assuming are the migrants from all over the world. We won't even say Central America, all right? We're going to say just the migrants from around the world because we got a little bit of everything. We're a bucket of gumbo right now. We got them all. Central America, Chinese, Uzbekistan, Afghani, parts of Africa, like Mali. We got a couple from Somalia. We got a lot of people coming here who really went out their way to get here. And it's not no easy feat to get here. So the invasion that Jade Helm was talking about, or Project Jade Helm, was the event of an insurgency coming into America with some type of nuclear attack or just explosions everywhere. You know, bombs go off in different places. You know how it goes. On this map that you're looking at, all right, the home base was in Eglin. All right, that's clear across the nation. Continuity of government, they would put the headquarters away from the battlefield. Texas is red, Utah's red, and the border over there down in California is red. Arizona's uncertain, but they're leaning friendly. So so what happens is apparently states have broken up and decided to go their own way, whether it was based on the insurgency or is based on which it could be, you know, the states seceded from the union or the republic, excuse me, not the union, the republic. So now Texas is on its own, Utah's on its own, California looked like it could change. Does this sound a little bit familiar to you? Maybe. We're going to wall break right here. Pause, all right? I'm going to pause right here. Now, I was talking about propaganda and movies and stuff that kind of fills your head with this illusion or this idea that this could happen. A lot of times I think that they put it out to kind of give you a warning so that when it happens, you don't react a certain way. All right. Some could say that's double speak or Hegelian dialect. Me personally, I think it's kind of strange that a lot of our movies are actually worked on with the DoD. Now, the DoD has a lot of input in our movies and in the stuff that we watch. One, because they want to make sure it's accurate for military and tactical reasons. You know, you want to make sure it looks real. And then also to make sure that they're not putting real information into a movie, which is ironic because the last couple movies that I've seen come out are all DoD propaganda that matches these projects. All right. And you're probably thinking, like, what is he talking about? Give me a second. Ah, all right. Nice little collage. You guys like my collage? I took a little art time. A little art. All right, I got some movies here that I want to talk about. When we talk about these programs and these operations and these trainings, think about the movies that come out that almost perpetuate what this is. We got Amerigeddon. All right, Amerigeddon was a J-list movie. It was low budget, but what happens is martial law is implemented in America, and the blue helmets come in, and shit hits the fan. The guy thinks it's a military operation, but it's not a military operation. Turns out it's the real thing. A lot of things are hidden behind the term training operations. Training operations sounds good because if you say training operation, the average person is not going to ask any questions. But for people who have common sense, they're going to ask common questions. All right. Now, while I got this up here, we're going to go over these movies, right? Civil War, The Long Kiss Goodnight, The Sum of All Fears, The Domestics, The First Purge, and of course, Leave the World Behind. I purposely picked all these movies because I've seen them and I know the propaganda in them, right? Now, pause right here. The conspiracy theories that went into Jade Helm spread, like I said, all over America. For people who understood what this could possibly mean, people assume that this was it, which everyone assumes that it's always it. Think about it. The rapture was just 2 days ago, guys. You got people thinking the rapture was actually happening. That was a psyop. Stop falling and playing into this stuff. You fall for this stuff, they use it on you. I know it's hard to spot sometimes. Sometimes I get caught up in it too. But you have to pay attention. All right. Now, I'm gonna read this little quick part. We're gonna go back to these movies, okay? The conspiracy theories seem to emanate from the map shown here on the U.S. Army Special Operations Command, which divides the regions into 4 colors with 2 hostile states, 2 permissive states, and 2 states leaning one way or the other, and California divided. Sounds like Civil War, doesn't it? Okay. Jim Shea of the Hartford Courant wrote that the conspiracy theories included a psychological operation aimed at getting people used to seeing military forces on the street so that they do not realize when an invasion actually takes place. An international operation aimed to seize people's firearms, recently closed Walmarts used by military to stockpile supplies for Chinese troops who will be arriving to disarm Americans, Red Dawn, and a military plan to round up political dissidents. All the movies. Anything. Name one. Right? Who may be against the imposition of martial law. Excuse me. Other theories have described Jade Helm 15 as a secret plot to impose martial law, confiscate firearms, invade Texas, and institute total population control. All right. Now, Red Dawn. Even though I didn't put it up here, not the new one. If you go back and watch the old one, that propaganda was very telling. And if you remember, the pilot that they found in the movie explains that Russia, China, and Mexico are involved in this. All right? It's important to say Mexico because in Red Dawn, Mexico wasn't involved, and I thought that was very telling, right? But now, when you look at what's really going on a political standpoint worldwide, who are we having problems with right now? Russia, China, and Mexico. Crazy. Yes, North Korea is part of that conflict too, and they use North Korea in the movie. It was North Korea and Russia in the remake. Now, I think North Korea is not strong enough on their own to do it. So I assume that China would be the one. Now in Red Dawn, China took the West Coast, parts of the West Coast, and Russia took parts, and then it was lined up on one side, right? China took one side, Russia took the other. That's the remake of Red Dawn. Now the old one, something came up the bottom of America into the plains, and that was Mexico. All right. Now, let's look at the last 5 years of geopolitical relations, uh, border issues, migrants, and the current conflicts in America, anyone find it strange that China owns farmland? Anyone find it strange that China owns farmland near bases? Anybody find it strange that they let so many people into America all of a sudden? Now, what did this conspiracy theory say? That they would put military in the street so you would get used to seeing it so you didn't know it was an invasion happening in front of you. Pause right there. Now, previous when I was reading Rex 84, this wasn't really the conversation. See, they went down to Central America to go do, martial law and, handle all that if there was military or civilian unrest and the military would come in. Now, fast forward, now they want us to get used to seeing military in the street so that we're okay with it. That's the theory. Now, fast forward 10 years later, Jade Helm, there's military in the street, and Americans don't seem like they're as worried. Now, there are a couple of people saying stuff like me and a few others who are saying that, hey, you guys should keep your head on a swivel. There could be something wrong. Now, there isn't to say that this could all work out in the end and he really cleans up America and we all live hunky dory, we hold hands, we kumbaya, and we all prosper on the new quantum financial system. That's the that's the dream that we get rid of the deep state. Trump takes over. He does what he has to do. He saves us. America, kiss the cheerleader. Everyone goes home. I am telling you, uh, if history was a marker or a learning lesson, it would tell you you probably not want to trust these people. Okay? Now, the conspiracy theories that went into Jade Helm weren't just about civil unrest via collapse or war or conflict, right? Wasn't that. I'm gonna try to get through this. There's a lot of talk about this about liberation camps. So hold on. The comet or asteroid impact. All right. What have you been hearing lately? Isn't there something hovering around, quote unquote, in our deep space? If you want to go there, I'm not gonna mention the firmament. It's in Genesis, for God's sakes. Go read the Bible again. I'm not mentioning. I'm not going over that. I know what a lot of you are gonna say in the comments. There's no space. True. That's possible truth. Space is in the water. Could be a firmament. It's in Genesis. It's in the Bible. Either you believe it or you don't. I'm just saying that there's a lot of conversations about things that shouldn't exist that could possibly exist. That's all I'm saying. Take it with a grain of salt. Some conspiracy theorists have connected Jade Helm 15 exercises with an apocalypse caused by a comet or asteroid striking the Earth. You guys ever seen that movie? I think it's Greenland. Jared Butler. I think this is his name. The dude played in Law Abiding Citizen. I had to think about it, right? That guy. So big comet, allegedly floating in our solar system, hurling itself to Earth, and the military is getting in place because they know there's going to be some type of giant cataclysm, and they got to be there in place. And if you told us out loud, we would panic, we would freak out, we wouldn't know what to do. So that's the whole reason behind Jade Helm. That was one of the conspiracies. Okay, believe it if you want, whatever. Says the conspiracy theorists claim that Jade Helm is a dress rehearsal for the not that imposition of martial law. Okay, that is the right one, which would be implemented in the event of a catastrophe of this level of severity. However, NASA the Near Earth or Object Program, publishes the Century Risk Table, which is a list that identifies such threats, and the list does not include objects with a high Torino scale. Torino scale is the method of categorizing impact hazard associated with near Earth objects. NEOs, all right? We're having fun learning here. Is it learning fun? Right. What do you think? Because these movies on my screen were all propaganda made by DOD, and we all know that. Okay? Some of All Fears was when someone got a dirty bomb into America, they detonated at a game, and it hits the fan, right? Long Kiss Goodnight. Secret agent bumps their head or gets shot in the head. Sorry, I don't want to make light of it, but she gets shot in the head, loses her memory, comes back to the CIA to foil a plan of a false flag event for domestic terrorism. Crazy, right? You Long Kiss Goodnight was a good one, man. You got to go watch that one. Leave the World Behind is the most up to date one, along with Civil War. All right, those two. Leave the World Behind was very funny, which because I think it's the same universe as Civil War. I think when Civil War is going on, I think Leave the World Behind is happening. They're somewhere at the same place. Timelines might be a little different, but same universe. Kind of like The Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead, right? If you know how they do TV shows, they're spin-offs of each other. You could put some of this stuff in order and it'll look like a whole movie. So Civil War is essentially when California and Texas split and they go against, the remaining government of DC. Then you get the Florida Alliance, which is just Alabama and the Deep South and all of that, right? You got a whole lot of other states that don't get involved, which is funny because we move that out the way. Jade Helm kind of played on that. Crazy, right? Okay. So right now in America, we got all kinds of military troops moving around, National Guard moving around. Do I think it's anything that we're reading about? Ooh, excuse me. I really don't know. I can only go by the research and the information, and I have to trust my gut. My gut tells me that we should all stop trusting these people. There is something going on. I can't really speculate if we've been invaded, which technically we have, or we're at conflict and it's about to be some type of strike. I don't know. It could be weather related. That's a whole other rabbit hole to get into. Okay. So I can't sit here and say for sure what it is, but I do know they're up to something. Scream. Now, quick break. All right. We're going to stop right there. I'm going to say if you're enjoying what you're watching, I appreciate you watching. Feel free to go follow me on all social medias. Right above my head, it's been above my head the whole time going. Follow me on all platforms with the exception of a few, but you can find me pretty much everywhere. All right. TDRH Media for most of my platforms. Twitter is TDRH Media Cov. All right. Find me on there. Hang out with me. Check out some of the information. Follow me. Thank you. See. All right. Let's get back into it. Now, I'm not done talking about operations. Where's my movie poster? All right, the propaganda that we're talking about in here is serious. Now, there's the one-off situation where we were talking about liberation camps, which all this is going into that, right? We're talking about liberation camps with FEMA. We've talked about Jade Helm. We've talked about Rex 84, the exercise, and how they tend to do or get prepared for things that we don't know about or could be transpiring. Same thing for Jade Helm. If you guys have ever heard of something called Operation Blackjack, it was actually another training exercise in a newspaper, which insane you would put it in a newspaper. Why am I mentioning this? Okay. If you've ever seen the movie The Domestics and The Purge, the first Purge, those were both training exercises. So was Amerigeddon. But The Domestics, me personally, that movie was crazy. And the only reason I say it could have, like, they like to simulate stuff. So in Domestics, they actually blanket them with some black smoke, chemtrails, and they kill off the population. And it's complete civil unrest. It's proxy groups. It's war. It's everything. You just can't drive and be safe at the same time. This couple tries to drive down to Chicago or outside of Chicago to get this girl to her family, go on a whole journey, get shot, fight a small war. Crazy movie. The first Purge was an actual training exercise to where they were paying people to go out and cause chaos and anarchy and got paid for it. In the event that see what they would do and how they would feel about it. It was a real life training exercise. The first purge is insane. And what they did was they people wouldn't do it. So what they sent out plants, controlled opposition, and these people were here to start problems, start stabbing people, blowing stuff up, right? Training exercise. What ends up happening is the purge is implemented and is used to kind of kill off the poor or depopulate human people. The depopulation plan, basically, just in another weird, messed up way. But that was the first purge. It was a training exercise, and they decided to keep it. When the woman realized what was going on, what they do to her, knocked her off, and they kept the program running. And that's what the whole movie was about. It was really about the rich and the poor fighting each other. That's why there's a conflict in that movie. And again, they have to get this information somewhere. Leave the world behind. The Obamas or Barack Obama stated that he used government documents and training programs to make Leave the World Behind look real. So think about that for a second. They're actively telling you that they're taking information to make the movie factual. And he took classified information to do that. Say what you want, but isn't that what DOD was for? Remember, the propaganda's in the movie, and we're all being manipulated in this situation to think that it's left against right or it's red against blue. That's not what this is. It's all propaganda, guys. It's all psyop and social engineering. Let's not get off track though, okay? Stay on track. Now, something called Operation Blackjack. I'm gonna bring the green screen in now. We're gonna get big on this one now. Operation Blackjack was a comic book story training simulation. I know you're saying, what the hell is a comic book training simulation? I'm about to show you. All right, this was in the Telegraph. This was created January 12, 2009 at 8:59 a.m. All right, this is you are looking at this live on my screen right now. All right, let's stop the cap. All right, I'm about to show you 3 training operations that have all happened, and I feel like they're all transpiring right now. Crazy work. Crazy work, right? All right. Operation Blackjack, a story of a series of terrorist nuclear attacks on the major Western cities and the aftermath. At some point, we all got to assume that this could be a thing. Like, they could be like putting it out there so that we read it, and when we see it, we're like, huh, why am I not shocked by this? Of course we would do something like this. I read something like this years ago, and they said they were gonna and they would do something like this. Right? Okay. Now I'm gonna read this, and we're gonna go through some of it. All right, we're gonna go through the big chunks, the important stuff. All right, hear me out. I'm gonna read through it quickly. MI5 report warns government of imminent terrorist attack. A coalition of homegrown extremists, Islamists, and Christian doomsday cultists may have acquired the means to carry out a mass casualty attack. What have you been hearing in the media right now? Are they not talking about some type of Islamist boots on the ground situation? Are they not talking about Christian doomsday people? For God's sake, the Department of Homeland Security has designated Christianity as an extremist religion. You can go check it. Not even going to get into it right now, but you can go check that. Okay? Think about this. I've told you about the tag tracking ID systems. I've told you about everyone being on the list. Everyone is listed as something. They are telling you again, right? Human intelligence indicates that this group is ready to strike at any time. Any event of such attack, the likelihood of many thousands of casualties is high. All right? Prime Minister, blah, blah, blah. They set it up June 21st, 2 p.m. They lock up at a garage in Southeast London. A package is loaded into a white van. Sound familiar? Oklahoma City. Q's building all major routes. That's where it's traveling. Police and security forces raid known militants. Oh my God. Raids. Sound familiar? Sound like someone's getting raided right now? Are you guys paying attention to the media? They just raided some militants and did like another deportation process, right? This is what they're talking about Trump is doing, going city to city. He's cleaning up the crime. Allegedly, he's rounding up alleged terrorists that are wandering around the American country right now. This is the conspiracy that's out. Whether you're MAGA or not, whether you believe it or not, I'm just passing out this information. Okay. Panic buying. We already know we're good for that. Pumps run dry. Bam. Unnoticed white van parked near Victoria, London. Sound familiar? Does it sound familiar? Okay. The view from the airliner over London, 8:03 a.m. Boom! Boom! It goes off. It's happening. Carnage, destruction, all over the place. 8:15 a.m., right? 1 week after it. London's in shambles. They're done. London has fallen like the movie, right? You remember the movie came out in London, there's a terror attack and they had to stop people. It was a bunch of Islamists, and I think it was Islamists, I can't remember. Might have been a Christian doomsday. Actually, I think they found out it was their own government. Nonetheless, same idea, right? Okay. Buckingham Palace, destroyed. End of part one. Part two. New York, of course. Why New York? Why are we naming these places? These places are hubs, okay? London, the financial district of the world. New York, financial district, trade, World Trade Center, 9/11, terror. America is the Big Apple. Satan, Statue of Liberty. I'm saying words. I hope you resonate with them. I'm trying to get you a feel into this, right? I got to get through this stuff. All right, they're showing basically, New York on an average day, right? And that's the end of that. We're going to go on to part two. There's a part two, Marcus? Yes. There was a whole 5-part series of this. You see 4, 3, 5. Here's part two right here. All right, part two, Blackjack. We're back. Previously in Blackjack. Yeah, say it like the show. So they hold the whole spiel. They told you what was going on. Boom! London is hit. Destroyed. Destruction everywhere. Ah! People are screaming. And we're in New York City now at the same time. All right? New York. Boom! Destruction again. New York can't catch a break. Take it how you want to. It is what it is. What happens? Boom! DC goes off, right? Why would DC? DC's the war capital of the world, right? Okay. DC's at it. Boom! Toronto goes off. Canada. All right? Multi-attacks, mass attacks on a world level, international. Mexico City, boom, goes up in flames. Portland, boom. Los Angeles, boom. All right? Now we figured it out. We are under attack on both sides of the nation. This is a complete shit show right now in America. Everyone's running around, crying, screaming. Flags are going up. Emergency transmission goes out. Stay at home, wait further instructions. What does that sound like to us in America? An emergency broadcast system. Boom. Game time. We're here. All right, that's the end of part two. I'm breezing through it. You guys got to bear with me. Breezing through it. Before I get to part three, we're going to take a quick break and say this. Our show is brought to you by Dirty Rabbit Digital. They're very big in our graphics and helping us understand how we do our monetization, how we get our message out, and how we do our graphics, all right? You guys are looking for any kind of help with social media, graphics, website design, feel free to reach out to drdigital.com or dirtyrabbitdigital.com, all right? They have a subdomain and domain. You can find them at both. But if you want to get in contact with them, the dirtyrabbitdigital.com. All right. Part three. Previously in Blackjack. Coalition of homegrown extremists and Islamists, Christian doomsday cultists may have acquired the means to carry out a mass casualty attack. Boom! Shit goes down in the world. Everyone's scared. They're running around, screaming, crying, right? Okay. Now with millions dead and the world in chaos, let's see the glass eye reports Glass eye report, okay? Pay attention to the verbatim here, the words and the usage of it. Shadowy government. This has exceeded our wildest expectations. It's time for phase two, right? Out of the ruins, citizens of the UNA, United Northern something, they changed the name. Your government is moving quickly to restore order and to punish the masterminds behind the June 22nd attacks. And you know, of course, our president comes up there, my fellow citizens. June 2nd attack, 22nd attacks were the greatest crime in the history of the world. We've had many of those crimes in the history of the world. It's just that they keep superseding themselves and getting bigger. Millions died. The capital and other cities in 5 countries were reduced to radioactive rubble. Shit went nuclear. It hit the fan. Shit has hit the fan, people. All right? From the ashes of the great nations, a new power arises. The Union of North America. One world government happening. Now the government has taken a shift because it was destroyed. So now we have to create something else. You're about to find out where the headquarters is at for the UNA. This is gonna fuck your head up. Again, this is coming from the Telegraph, 2009 in UK. All right. Wall break. What does this have to do with the fuck you've been talking about the last 51 minutes? All right. This has everything to do with what I've been talking about the last 51 minutes because these are 3 exercises that are all seemingly playing out as we speak. You think I'm bullshitting you? If you are really paying attention to your media, you're hearing the grumblings of boots on ground attacks from terror groups. You're hearing about you don't know who's come across your borders or your lines from all over the world. Geopolitical affairs are in ruins right now. Like Russia, China are all pretty much backing the Middle East and getting ready for some type of issue within northern Israel. If you want to play that prophecy out, it's going to happen in northern Israel. Now, we also know that in the same conversation that there is a shadowy group of people who's supposed to be doing all of this that we're talking about. That same shadowy group of people is in this story. Yeah, crazy, right? All right, let's finish this. From here, our new capital in Denver, I have authorized the armed forces of the UNA to begin immediate operations against the nations who planned and executed these acts of infamy. By air, by land, and sea. Don, 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 don. The man is upset. Puppet is going to start World War III. It has happened. Let's get through this because you're going to notice something real funny. Watch who they blame. I have also authorized the use of other measures specifically against Iran, Syria, and China. Bingo. Iran, self-explanatory. Syria, why Syria? If you understand what happened in Syria, Syria got overthrown, coup d'etat, their leader left. The new leader is former Taliban. Crazy. The new president of Syria is former Taliban. The same Taliban that was used to push ISIS out, allegedly. You can't make this stuff up, people. You can't make it up. Can't make it up. All right? China, self-explanatory. They're supposed to be the world threat, at least threat to us. Nonetheless, let's finish this story. In our homeland, we are moving against many thousands of people who collaborated in these evil plots. They will be held in special containment facilities across the UNA. We like to call those liberation camps. But if you're right-leaning and you've been paying attention, you could call it Alligator Alcatraz in the Everglades, because that's exactly what that is. And as much as you act like, oh, he's just getting the deportees out, oh my God, no, it's a concentration camp, it's a liberation camp. You call it what you want, but it is what it is. It is that. I didn't say it, you said it. Many hundreds are already been apprehended or certainly in transit to these facilities. Many hundreds. Who? How did you know who did it already? Was it the dissidents that you went for? Was it the people? Was it who got online and was like probably told you, hey, This isn't that. They didn't do it. It's probably our government. And you were like, we rounded them up and stopped them. That was probably us, the community. Project Pogo, Project Zephyr, Jade Helm, what they were talking about. 2009. This is before Jade Helm. This is in between Rex 84, Jade Helm, and a slew of others like Garden Plot. Okay? Let's finish this. In the meantime, I ask you to abide by the state of emergency that exists across our nation. Denver, Manchester, Tijuana, Dublin, Montreal. World law, world martial law. It has happened. Everyone has locked down their cities. People are scared. They're crying. Babies are shitting all over everything. Men are crying. Shit is happening, right? They've locked down the world. As we secure our homeland and punish those responsible, our debts have been forgiven and our country has responded for business. Our debts have been forgiven. So apparently, if you blow up the world, your debts can be forgiven because everyone's like, we got to pull together. Hugs, kisses, change your profile picture to this so we can be united. And then they're going to get rid of the $37 trillion that they had in debt. I mean, they weren't $37 trillion in debt in this story, but I just figured $37 trillion would be a good number to throw out there if I was gonna, if I wanted to get rid of my debt, probably the number I would want to start at is about 37 trillion. I would like to get rid of that. Just me. God bless you and God bless the Union of North America. America! And all the people make songs. Plenty of vigils, like, and they're going to do rituals at them. You didn't hear that from me. All right, and that's the end of part 3. We're going to part 4. All right. Let me get out of this one. I'm trying to make this as interesting as possible. The last time I did this, it was so dry and so boring. But you know what? Let's entertain it. Let's have a good time. All right, Blackjack, part 4. Previously, a plot to destroy the major cities of the West succeeded. London and New York, Washington, D.C., Toronto, Mexico City, Los Angeles, and Portland were all incinerated. It's not funny. With the world in chaos, a new Western government appears, based in Denver, Colorado. Of all places to put this base, you put it in Denver, Colorado. I don't know. Sounds like the base they're moving now, right? I don't know if you guys are catching that. The last time Alabama had a headquarters, it was the Confederacy. Just want to let you know that. They print a new currency. Left wing, right wing, looks like the same bird, right? And flies a new flag. They just turned the lines the other way and only got 5 now. It's the 5 cities that got attacked. We're united now. That's what it takes to unite us. Catastrophic event, some type of event to scare the hell out of us. You always notice it's an event to scare us. They never do anything mutually assuring for us, like equity or like better education, not poison our food, but instead scare the hell out of us to unite us. Why would you want to do that? It's stupid. You just unite us by telling us the truth and fixing shit. Excuse me. Anywho, moving on. Listen to this part. Let me zoom back in, all right? Zooming in and out, camera scenes. Bear with me. I got to make content for you guys. You guys are difficult. The government of the UNA quickly identifies China, Iran, and Syria as the culprits. So if you knew this in advance, why you didn't stop it in advance? Like the damn question we've always been asking, right? The subsequent war is quick and decisive. Unelected, a new president issues a constitution and declares martial law. He is unelected. Why was he unelected? Because we're at a time of war. And probably because the actual president that was there is gone. So the person that's about to take over will not be elected. The last president has just happened. This is in 2009. This is the Telegraph. This is Operation Blackjack. This is the 3rd training exercise that I've gone over today that strangely and similarly rhymes with what's going on today. Whole point of this show right now, okay? Follow me. 1 year earlier, while politicians have busied themselves with ensuring their own political survival, our patriotic efforts have made the difference between defeat and survival of the Western way of life. For 60 decades, our unsung efforts have repeatedly saved our nations from disaster. Through decisive intervention, we have been the glue that held the Western world together. And you see in the whatever, you see the plane, you see all that, you see the guy sitting there, take it for what it is. The veneer of democracy and economic success has been maintained, but our power has begun to wane. Throughout the 90s and early this century, our need for oil and strategic dominance led us fighting into wars, at home and abroad. 2009, Operation Blackjack, UK Telegraph. And all the while, as we exhausted ourselves, the oil supply dwindled and the global population exploded. Sound familiar again, right? Starting to sound real Gatesish. Bill Gates, God again. Here we go. In the last few years, we've been rushing towards catastrophe. Decadence has become endemic, and our personal and national debts have exploded, $37 trillion. And all while our enemies have grown stronger, which they really mean the world, most of the world under their thumb. Our political leaders have dithered and prevaricated. Now a new regimen threatens to undermine our way of life. Self-explanatory. The decline we face today is greater than that half a century ago. True. We face economic and social disaster at home and defeat abroad. Also true. The time has come for action. First drawn up years ago, we looked to Blackjack for a solution. Operation Blackjack, top secret eyes only, blah, blah, blah. The ordinance from Blackjack has been secured. Listen to this now. All right, this is perfect. I really appreciate them doing this. This is why it's so funny to me, because they're literally playing out how this is gonna play out. That's the crazy part. They play every operation that I've talked about that's supposed to be training has played it out the way it's playing out now. So there's a news article in this training operation. A nuke goes missing in mix-up. 5 nuclear warheads were briefly unaccounted for last week. The Military Times reports when the warheads were not removed from the missiles carried by the B-52 bomber prior to his flight from North Dakota to Louisiana. Now I remember some years ago in California, some ammonium nitrate that went away, that disappeared. They said that it probably did leak out the train. Like, to be honest, human error is horrible. Like, look at where we're at now. So I can see someone easily not sealing up tons of ammonium nitrate for like a 1,000-mile trek on train tracks, slowly leaking out. I can see how that could be a human error, because people make mistakes. So maybe it was rusty. They don't care about stuff in America. They just use it and reuse it and rinse and repeat. So sure, the ammonium nitrate leaked out all of the train, right, and it disappeared. But going on to the story, we have sufficient assets in both CONUS and GBR for phase 2, right? We anticipate a further phase may be needed to deal with insurgency along the east and west coast. DC, New York, look at the points of entry that they're aiming at. And if you look at the West Coast, kind of does look like a little bit like Jade Helm, just saying. The criminals in the executive will be arrested and transferred to await trial, and operation is complete. Right? In the series finale, all purchases and business financial transactions across the UNA must now be supported by presentation of your UNA biometric identification card. Listen to what I'm saying. Even in this, in 2009, a CAT card shows up, which that's all that is. CAT card is what we use in the military, or you're a government employee. That little chip in your card is the same chip in your debit card. Okay, that's how they're reading your information. It's that little chip. Now people are saying they want to put that chip in you, in your head, under your skin. The mark of the beast, Revelations, the Bible again, pops up. Why no one fucking believes it? I don't fucking know why, but again, we're reading it in front of us and having a good time. They give them a biometric card. It has the UNA oversight has the authority to close businesses that fail to demand sight of the card from all clients and customers. Citizens who fail to carry the card and present it upon demand could face unlimited jail terms. 2020. Oh, who said that? Mm. Sound familiar? Yeah? No? Maybe? Kind of? Mm. Don't worry about it. In the finale of Blackjack, give us back our country. So now in America, Americans are rising up. Why are Americans rising up? Wall break. Why are Americans rising up right now? Could there be a chance that all the information that we've been talking about was pointing at something? So I assume what's happening right now, which could easily be fabricated events. We know that they can fake a protest. You can schedule a nationwide protest with no problem. You can schedule a worldwide protest with no problem. They're easy. They're really good at social engineering us, and it's easy for them. They're really easy at that. They're good at it. So dissidence breaks out in America. Oh my God, oh my God. Sounds familiar again, right? We keep coming back to this. It's funny how all this sounds like the last 5 years in America to some extent. But you know, what else? Five, we're in the finale. You guys are gonna love this. And I'm making good time right now. I'm just hitting an hour and some change. So that's gonna leave me. We're gonna move. We're moving. The show's moving. We're doing good. We're doing good right now. Hope you're still here. Final part of the fictional drama about a series of nuclear attacks and the formation of a Western totalitarian government. All right. I'm ringing. Oh well. The phone's ringing, but I can't find it. All right. So in the finale, the Union of North America Department, Homeland Security and Oversight, Emergency Transmission Network, all right? Our Union of Nations has left scarred but unbowed by the June 22nd attacks. Our government has meted out justice and the countries responsible for planning these evil crimes. Sure they have. However, the time of danger is not past. At least 6 other terror cells are operating in America and 2 in the British Isles. Sleeper cells were activated and it went left. Okay. This is in a moment of grave danger. We cannot allow further destruction and the mass loss of life under the terms of Emergency Contingency Act of 2011. Your government is instituting the following precautionary measures with immediate effect. Of course, the biometric card. All citizens are obliged with immediate effect to make contact with their approved health provider to arrange to receive a one-time vaccination against a range of biological and chemical agents. 2009. Sounds familiar. 2009 rhymes with 2020. 2009 rhymes with 2030. Crazy. This is 2009, people. Okay? 2009. The Union of North America and the Department of Homeland Security and Oversight, this is considerable errors with some internet chat rooms, alternative websites, and other forums were used by the perpetrators of the June 22nd attacks to coordinate their actions. To prevent further use of the web for these purposes, steps are being taken by regulatory authorities to monitor and prevent unpatriotic abuse of digital communications. Palantir, Oracle, Google, Facebook, all your social media, right? Okay. Sure, I'm full of shit. I'm just making it up. All journalists operating within the UNA are required to contact the DHSO within 1 month. Registration is mandatory. The DHSO will satisfy itself of a journalist's credentials and issue a license to operate. Suppression of freedom of speech, that shit is no longer free. Sound familiar, right? Look, whatever. But despite the unprecedented crackdown and ban on public demonstration, the number of protests grow. Fire at will. They are shooting Americans in the street. Sound familiar? Okay. Give it some time. Democracy, peace, and justice. Terrorist sympathizing scum. Clear a road immediately. observe the curfew or go home, or we're gonna billy club the bullshit out of you, right? Okay, give it time. What you're watching in real time, pause. What you're watching in real time with Trump and all this stuff that he's doing. Let me find an up-to-date article. That was Alabama I was looking for. Okay. I'm using Brave. I'm not using Google. Brave ain't. It's a little bit better. Ain't too much better. You gotta still search a little harder for stuff. Ain't DuckDuckGo. All right. So he's already sent troops to Memphis, LA, Chicago, DC, Baltimore's on the list. In Alabama, Kay Ivy's already mentioned that if he sends them, she's okay with it. If I had to guess where he was probably going to send them to, it's probably going to be between Montgomery, Birmingham, and Selma. Mobile's not too far off. Huntsville, probably not. But more or less, Birmingham and Montgomery are probably the clear case, with Selma in a close third, right? 3 days ago, this is the Tennessee Lookout. National Guard presence in Memphis demands collaboration over partisanship. So remember, the police are not supposed to be assisting the federalization of any city. It's supposed to what's supposed to happen is is federalization is supposed to take place with the government and then the militia. And you're gonna be like, well, why the militia? Because that's the second level of government of state federalization would be the militia. It's not the police. The police can be federalized, but the police can deputize their people. I might be wrong. I've been reading on this. Just work with me. Don't get mad at me. But the police can deputize their own people inside the county. That's more of a civil issue. They don't do anything federally, but they can give deputy rights to a small town to protect itself. But federally, that's not how that's supposed to work. It's supposed to, they're not supposed to go hand in hand. Not until, it's needed. Could be wrong. May have explained that differently. Nonetheless, a lot of this is already happening in small doses, and we think it's normal, and that's okay because some people don't understand that there's all kinds of projects and stuff going on. Right now, we got out of that wall break. Observe the curfew, go home. Cities erupt in violence. We reject fascism. We reject fascism. We reject fascism. All right. Despite the efforts of the UNA regiment and old flags are flown openly, and there is talk of a revolution, we are losing the situation in state after state. So all the states have rose up, the militias have showed up, the proxy groups have kicked ass. We are here, guns drawn, ready to go, right? We're all here. Supplementing the police with military assets is having a limited effect. Supplementing the police with military assets. Whole cities going up in flames. Immediate action is needed if we aren't to lose the entire country. We recommend a partial implementation of phase 3. And you're asking, what is phase 3, UMax? Pause. These people are so vindictive and stupid that they lost control of their country. They thought it was going to corral everybody in. So since it didn't work and everyone got upset and started protesting and started kicking over tables and slapping bottles at babies' hands. Why do I keep throwing babies in there? Because once you involve the baby or throw a chair, everyone gets mad. Makes sense. So for phase 3, these people, instead of fixing the situation, they want to make the situation worse. We rally our people to the flag. We have chosen Boston, and our assets are moving into position. These people gonna do the same. They gonna double down. That's how stupid they are. They were like, phase 3, we're gonna blow up some more stuff, and we're gonna round these people up because if we keep trying to round them up, we can't whoop ass. These people gonna whoop ass, okay? Americans, even in the story, remember, even in the story, Americans kick ass, okay? Think about that. Even in a simulation, they know better. But in this one, they double down on the events and they go for it, right? Load up the vans. But within the teardrop group, get me Boston Police Department. Someone drops a dime, right? What in the name of? Boom! And all hell breaks loose. The biggest lie in the history of the world. Cop sees nuke bound for Boston. It's made in the UNA. It was made in America. Oh shit. We're attacking ourselves again. Again. We call upon all unit commanders to refuse UNA orders to await instruction from their legitimate governments. We have been sold a monstrous lie. But from within the so-called UNA, the illegitimate, the deep state, we're just not. 2009, UK Telegraph, Operation Blackjack. Pause. Let's move this from my face. The illegitimate, the shadowy group, the others, the people behind the scenes. Does it sound familiar? 3 projects, 3 operations. I've been here the whole hour telling stories. Goddamn fairy tale time right now. I'm telling you now, either these people got some of the best writing skills I've ever seen to make up stuff, or clearly there is something going on just like this. And I assure you, when it happens, I'm going to be on here. I'm going to be talking shit, and I'm going to have to come back to this again. We have to understand as Americans what is really going on. There is some illegitimate group running around pretending to be politicians and world leaders, and they're destroying the world. I don't care what you say about it. They've assassinated leaders, civil rights leaders. They've assassinated whistleblowers. They've assassinated anyone who's gone against the grain. Okay? I wanted to focus on myself so that bring it in. Let's bring it all around. Full surface, Jade Helm and Rex 84 all in one story in 2009. And predicted the last 5 or so years in America. They even touched on previous events. Have you ever noticed that the issue is here in America? You ever notice, and people keep saying, where's the central control of power at? It's in America. Sure, London has their power, and the Vatican, is the district of religion. The Vatican's the district of finance, and America's the district of war in D.C. Sure, but a lot of things go through us, and a lot of operations and incidents and what we would call conspiracies go through us. There ain't one conspiracy that don't go through us. So think about that for a second as I read all this out to you. And again, it's entertainment and educational purposes only. Who am I to say that this is real? This is completely unbiased. I'm kind of biased. I try to be unbiased, but I am kind of biased because I research a lot of the history, and even stuff that I don't believe, I still go read about it to understand it. Like, I don't believe everything that comes out, but what I do believe is obvious signs and hints. Like Rex 84, Jade Helm, Operation Blackjack, liberation camps, Alligator Alcatraz, strange assassinations for people who really don't have as much power as you would think. I said what I said. He has influence, he had a lot of influence. But the only reason to do that, we ain't gonna do that. Let's finish this story out, okay? Bring it back. We're bringing it back. And scene. Where's my head at? I'll put my head over here. All right. Where was that? Tests on the Boston bomb show that it came not from China or Iran or Syria. They show our government is corrupt. You need to return our units, gentlemen. Tell them that the forces still low, the Denver government are even now moving against us. Tell them that we are outgunned and outnumbered. Tell them that there's a war coming. Boom! Civil War. Now you put in the poster. So what happens? What did I just tell you? What did I just say? What just happened? They found out who did it, right? And with that even still said, they found out who did it and they said, we are not giving up. We are gonna go to war over this. And it just stops and that's the end of the story. Okay? Now, where does it go? You could probably insert a couple of these movies and that's where it went. That's exactly where it went, guys. It went to hell. Went to Civil War and Leave the World Behind, somewhere in between the first Purge and a little bit of Armageddon. Actually, all that were all these movies. Leave Long Kiss Goodnight, false flag event. Boom. Armageddon, same thing. They thought it was a test operation. It's not. It was a real event, and they used it against them. The government tried to seize control. Sum of all fears, dirty bomb. First Purge, psyops. Domestics, pissed off people. Civil War, after this whole story. You can say what you want, but I'm telling you, there's something going on. I don't know exactly what it is. I can't exactly say what it is or how it's going to happen. I do think it's very similar to what I just read out to you. I do think it's very similar to Rex 84. I do think it rings of Jade Helm. I do think they have a unique understanding of how operations work and where your chokeholds and strong points at, continuity. And I do understand too that they have executive orders. I do know that they have liberation camps allegedly. I know Alligator Alcatraz is very much so real. So when we say things like, "Hey, they're doing this stuff. Hey, this is coming. Hey, you guys got to pay attention." We're not saying it for the fuck of it. Just point blank period. We're not saying it for no illegitimate reason. We're saying it for the certain fact that history and research has proven that there is something behind the scenes, behind the curtain, the Emerald Tower, Wizard of Oz reference. There's something pulling the strings and fabricating false flags and assassinating people and doing things that aren't really helping us. It seems like our own officials are leaning a certain way right now. It seems like 50 states and one Israel does not sound like a very logical idea for a strong country as America. There's nothing wrong with having alliances and allies, but at the sake of your country, it's diabolical, guys. And here at the Daily Rabbit Hole, this has been the whole point of this. And the reason that I've come back today was because, one, I miss you all. I miss doing this, but I want to do it my way. I want to talk about the real stuff, the stuff that's obviously happening. Damn all this celebrity stuff. The celebrities are puppets to keep us quiet and keep us pacified and not burning their shit down. Although it seems like they want us to do that, but we have to remain steadfast and smart, and we have to unite. When I say unite, if you are still talking about racism, I do not take you really serious, because a real racist ain't gonna unite with me. You don't gotta like me. You ain't gotta agree with me. You can agree that we have maybe one thing in common, and we don't like our clear leadership in our government. But if you want to go over there and raise your family quietly amongst your people, that is your God-given right. I honestly don't care, because my community is struggling right now and fighting for their lives while being detrimental to their own selves in the same breath. And that's not just my community, it's any community of poverty, but because I'm a person of color, I get to relate to them. Now, I could mention the white people and the opiates having them in a chokehold like Debo, but I understand what's going on as a whole. I get it. I do. I am able to see the social engineering, the propaganda, the old training manuals that were supposed to just be that, but 20, 40 years later, here we are. Looks like it's transpiring. All right. Trump has federalized the National Guard in multiple cities and states. Okay. You guys are going to have to understand that's a thing. Whether he's doing it to stop an invasion, fight crime, or he's lining our ass up and we don't know it, it's on you to prepare your homes and yourself. You cannot expect yourself to be prepared one man against the federal government. But all of us as a whole, if we build real community, I swear we can get out of this. I swear we can at least survive it together a little longer, because whatever's coming down this pipeline is very much so real. You don't have to believe in the Illuminati. You don't have to believe in any of that stuff. But here, I'm here to tell you right now, they believe in you. You don't have to believe in the devil, but he believes in you. And that's the best way that I could put it. Because truth is there's still stuff going on out here we don't fully understand, and there's still operations and propaganda being put out. You guys have heard about the Anunnaki. You've heard that apparently the aliens are coming out of the water. Now you heard Hitler lived out his years in South America, in Argentina or something shit like that, Venezuela. They're gonna put out all kinds of information and propaganda so that they ain't got to tell you that they're all on the Epstein list. And yeah, sure, I'm pretty sure that's gonna ding a couple of the algorithm points for me. But truth of the matter is that they're probably all on that list. In the same way that I just read out this whole story dramatically, I hope you enjoyed it. That was some of my best work. I had to, make it interesting. What I'm saying is these people have a plan. These people are telling you the plan. These people are telling you in a way that you don't freak the fuck out when it happens in front of you. And they also, whoever wrote that also knows that you're going to have to fight for America. That's why they left it at a to be continued, because they're not going to, these people aren't willingly going to prison. They're not going to turn themselves in. That was the whole point of that story. I didn't literally read a story that piggybacked Jade Helm, Rex 84, and the propaganda that I just told you about. And in the same breath, someone's going to look at this video and be like, I don't believe it. Conspiracy theory. And that's fine. But I tell you what, when your ass out here running around with a microchip in your butt, don't say nothing. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I told y'all in 2020, and I said I told y'all to the people who know me, and I was talking about this stuff in our small little circles when I was in Arizona. I'm telling you, you didn't believe me. 5 years later, take it for what it is. So I'm not going to hold you. It's been a great show. Before we head out, feel free to follow me on all platforms. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Rumble, and YouTube. Those are my main platforms. My backup platforms are definitely BitChute. I'm going to upload a whole lot of stuff on there. I got to clean up my Spotify. You guys know how that is. I really don't like Spotify. It's worthless, but I'm probably going to upload some stuff on there. But nonetheless, thank you for tuning in today, tonight, or this morning, whenever this catches you. Thank you for hearing me out. Drop some comments, talk to me, reach out to me, man. Again, like, share, and follow. Thank you so much. Before I go, I'm going to say this. We're at a point that it's now or never that you realize what's going on and you understand who you need to be aligning yourself with. It's not the left and the right. It's not the red and the blue. It ain't with feminism. It ain't with genderism. It's not with any of that. It's uniting with the human spirit, the soul, community. The human experience is what we're here for, allegedly. And if you've read the Bible, you understand that this is Satan's realm. This is his world. And if this is his world, then you would understand how to better move through it. You would stop falling for some of this stuff that they're showing you, and critically think for a second and realize they got something covering your eyes via entertainment, via life issues, via the rat race. And there's nothing wrong with going to a game and relaxing and enjoying the riveting sport or whatever it is you want to go see. There's nothing wrong going to the ballet. There's nothing wrong with watching a little bit of entertainment on the Black Mirror we call TV. But when those things start to cloud your judgment to your own existence is when we have a problem. So you got to understand that you have to do more than just say I care about humans. You have to be the change that you wish to see in the world. And no one's perfect. We all got our vices and our sins and our secrets and our skeletons and our stories and trauma. But if we don't unite, if we don't figure out how to get they boot off our neck, Operation Blackjack is going to sound like one of the worst events that we've ever had again. And I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm saying that there's a long list of events that are lining us up for something, and we may not be viewing it through the right lens. Again, I hope this man, Trump, and his group of administration and Secretary of State, Department of Defense, and Secretary of War, and all that, press secretary, financial secretary, all secretaries or whatever. I hope that they are actually doing the fucking right thing, because it is coming off as they are not. And if you want to say that they're saving Israel for last, then great, because everything that I've read is actually come to pass, and it has shown that it is not that. So take it how you want. This is the Daily Rabbit Hole. Thank you for watching the Rabbit Hole Report. A lot of these shows are going to be more like this. All right? I brought back a lot of graphics, a lot of feel, a lot of the grittiness. I don't care about the errors. I see my green screen. You know what? F it. You guys understand the message. You understand where I'm coming from. Share this information with people. Take it with a grain of salt. And always remember, do your own research, guys. You don't have to live off my word, but you can go look some of this stuff up too. It's not hard to find. All right? You guys have a great day, a great night, and a great morning. Stay safe, stay dangerous. Signing off.